CEO Dani du Toit joins us now on the line. Thank you so much for joining us, Dani. Can you take us into your confidence and give us some insight as to what led to this decision around salaries?
Marcel, thank you. Good afternoon, and thanks for the opportunity. Yes, let me briefly comment on the current situation. As you rightly point out, it's no secret that Denel has been facing short-term liquidity challenges over the past 12 months, and this situation unfortunately continues. So we are trying our best as a board and as management to remedy the situation. Now, what happened in the month of June is that we could simply not get all the funding together to pay salaries in time. This is the practicality of the situation. Of course, we profusely apologize to our staff for the late communication on this issue. But in practical terms, we get guarantees from government. We take it to the banks and the financial institutions, and they support us with the funding. Of course, we also manage our cash flow on a daily basis, and we get funds from our customers, etc. So we make a daily assessment of that situation. But the situation is quite volatile and dynamic. For example, if one major customer doesn't pay on time, then it's a negative impact. If we don't secure the funding from the banks in time, then it's a negative impact. And what happened in June is this didn't work out in time. That's the short summary. So we were waiting for a decision last night around 4:30 that did not come in time, and so we were obligated to communicate the situation.
Now, some would say that this sounds like you left it a little bit too late to make a decision.
No, definitely
that
not.
Would have such
we
an
manage it, as I say, on a daily basis. We are acutely aware of incoming funds and so on. But anybody in business will understand the dynamics and the impact if a major customer doesn't pay on time.
But anybody in business would also say that ensuring that your staff is paid
Yes.
what is due to them is also important, but more importantly, that if there are challenges, that they be communicated in enough time. Solidariteit is saying that there was an undertaking that you would communicate this kind of thing to them by the middle of the month. Why did that not take place?
Absolutely, Marcel. There was an old undertaking in December. Of course, we honor our commitments. But to be honest, in the current situation, to make that assessment by the middle of the month is simply not practical. It's not possible. So there was no ways that we could communicate earlier on this situation. So.
Would it be fair to say now that it seems that Denel, in as much as you're dealing with really huge contracts, huge amounts of money that ordinary South Africans probably can't understand, it sounds like you're operating like a cash business at the moment, living hand to mouth?
The cash situation, as I said, over the last 12 months, also before my time, is a remaining concern. It's under enormous pressure. Of course, the medium and longer term is very positive. We are chasing around 40 billion of new opportunities. The market is willing to take our products. We have good support from our staff. We have world-class experts. So we have a good medium to long-term potential. We have to survive the next 2 to 3 months to sort of capitalize on that potential. That is the situation.
And now, medium to long-term goals are one thing, but unfortunately there are staff that perhaps now cannot see to some of their debit orders that are supposed to go off their account and all of those kinds of practical things that ordinary workers have. One of the unions, Lemusa, is calling for an undertaking from Denel that you help ensure that cost is not just a burden for your staff, as it's not their fault.
Yes. Of course, we respect our employment contracts. The contracts state that we have to pay by the last calendar day of each month, and we will honor that. So we're trying our best to pay the 15% that is delayed by as soon as possible, but not later by as the end of the month. So that is our commitment. This is what we're trying to achieve.
So just for the record, you're saying that within the next 4 to 5 working days, you're going to be finding enough money to pay that outstanding 15% of those salaries that were paid today?
Yes, correct.
Okay, and how and when will you be able to communicate that to your staff?
As I said, I'm waiting for confirmation from the banks on their support. We need to look at the monies coming in from customers, and as soon as we have that confirmation, we will communicate immediately the status and the timing of those payments. So we, of course, respect and we apologize for the impact on our staff, and we want to reduce and to mitigate this as soon as possible.
Just before I let you go, I'm going to have the statement here from Lemusa, and they are obviously quite upset about the state of affairs at the moment. They say in closing to their statement, we further want to call on the Denel Group CEO to take responsibility for having failed on his duties to effect a turnaround strategy, which has now resulted in the non-payment of salaries. Can we have your reply to that call?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's not for me to decide. The board must decide. They appoint me, and if they want to release me, it's up to the board to make that decision. My job is not yet done. It's obvious that Lemusa and some of the other unions are not informed about our success and all the great things that we have achieved in the last 5 months. So I would like to engage with them and explain to them what we have done and the many successes we have had. You know, this is a temporary situation, and we will fix it. But in the bigger frame of things, there are much more and bigger successes that we have generated in the past 5 months.
Is there a chance that the salary crisis of this month will be carried over to July as well?
We are not sure about July. As I mentioned, the process is every month we make our cash planning. We look at the incoming funds. We discuss with the banks. So until September, October, until we are recapitalized, this will be a going issue that we have to think about and that we have to manage quite carefully. And this is what we're doing as a responsible organization.
Are you looking at other possibilities in terms of trying to save the situation? Are jobs at risk?
At this point, no jobs are at risk. We don't intend to restructure or to make any reductions. What we are looking at is there's a number of strategic initiatives, and these are the sort of things that, it seems like Lemusa is not informed, despite the fact that we have communicated with them many times. We have a plan, a turnaround plan. That plan is based on 3 pillars. The first one is to trade, to generate business. We are actively pursuing, as I said, 40 billion of business. We will soon announce the largest export contract in the history of Denel. Secondly, we are optimizing our cost structure. We have taken out roughly 500 million in annual operating cost. And thirdly, we need government support because of the historical situation to recapitalize Denel. So those are the 3 critical pillars to turn the organization around. We also want to divest non-core assets, and that's a combination of businesses or getting partnerships into the business, and also some of our properties. That process is well advanced, and that's another way to obviously get cash into the organization and into the business.
Can you tell us more about these contracts that you speak of? Where are they coming from?
I mean, most of those, as you know, in the defense industry, we cannot really comment on the customer country. These customers typically don't want the world and to know what they have in terms of military equipment and so on. But in broad terms, our target markets is in the Middle East, so it's predominantly in that region.
Now, you said earlier one of those contracts would be the biggest in the history of Denel. That's a very, very big and strong statement to make.
Sure.
How sure of you that it will happen, and what happens if it falls through?
Well, I've personally negotiated that contract with a major customer, and the contract is signed from our perspective, and we're waiting for the customer to conclude it and sign it. That's how sure I am, and that's the confidence I have in my own abilities and the contribution I make to this organization.
Okay, we're going to leave it there for now. Interesting times indeed. Donnie du Toit is the CEO of Denel. Thank you so much for coming through or speaking on the line with us and giving us those details on behalf of the staff there. I'm sure the media will be keeping an eye on you in terms of whether those salaries will indeed be paid by the end of this month, and as well going forward to the next few months as this crisis continues at Denel.